Okay, what do you remember about growing up in the house? Growing up in the house.
I remember um, growing up in the house with mother, daddy, grandma, huh? Mother, daddy.
Start again. Speak a little bit louder.
I remember growing up in the house with mother, daddy, grandma Larry, and Harry Lewis at the time, and then William came along, and Grandma Larry used to chase William with her cane. I remember that Iris would come over and sit with Grandma Larry sometime and talk to her. She really liked Iris. And Aunt Marie would also come over and bring foods sometimes. And at the time we had chickens and hogs, and Daddy would have hog killings, and I remember we had to clean the chitlins and use every part of the hog. And sometimes we had to chase and catch the chickens for Daddy to wring the necks off the heads of the chickens. And we always had fresh vegetables, and church members would come for dinner on Sundays. Mr. Watkins and some other members of the church.
Did Daddy have a garden at that time?
Daddy had 2 hillside gardens, and during the summertime when we planted, we had to go up and weed the garden, and the garden was very picturesque. It was like artwork, and he would pick the beans, and we would have to snap them. Mother would can. She had a great big metal canner, and she would have all the glass jars. She canned beans and apples and made pickled peaches and pickled pears, and she even canned chicken, which was good. The chicken with the bones would just melt in your mouth. And she would take watermelon rinds and make pickles. And we had cha-chow. She made that with green tomatoes, red tomatoes, and some watermelon rinds, I think. Well, William and Harry used to fight a lot. Dad would make them go outside and go up in the garden and weed the garden. Then when Ricky came along, he wanted to play football. He was always discouraged because Daddy would make him work in the garden during the time that he would have had football practice. And he never got over that. Ricky never got over that. And when we went to school, we really weren't allowed to participate in any of the extracurricular activities, like going to the dances or the games or anything like that. Anytime you asked to go somewhere like that, he would say, go help your mother wash or find something else for you to do. And
And when did Mother start working? And talk about when she started working for the Scaffs. Wasn't it after Daddy lost his job in the mines or something?
Yeah, Mother did. She started working during our junior high school years. She started working for Miss Dr. Scaff, and she worked there through my college. 3 years of college she was working there. And she also worked for the school.
She can tell us that. talk about, do you remember anything about Daddy working in the mines? When he worked in the mines, didn't he go there and stay and then come back?
Well, he would go.
No, start it with the sentence.
Daddy worked in the mines, and he, the winter times were the worst times because it was like he might not would, we would all be in the window waiting on him to come home every evening because even though he was strict on us, we were always worried, is he going to come home today or whatever, and we got real joyous when we would see him coming up the hill and it might be snowing, and he enjoyed the mines, and he was a great storyteller too. In the wintertime, he would tell us stories about Bear Rabbit and different spooky stories, and we enjoyed that. He would always let us listen to the radio on Sundays. We would gather around the radio on Sunday evenings to listen to the radio. That was before TV came out. And that was one of our pastimes. Then he bought a piano, and that's how Iris taught me how to play the piano. And then he would serenade us on Sunday evenings. We always had good Christmases. He always made sure we had different kinds of toys because that was one of the most joyous times. But when I became 14 and I was still believing in Santa Claus, he made me go with him and do some shopping. So and I have never forgotten that. That was one of the most disappointing times of my years because I definitely believed in Santa Claus. I was believing when I was 14, so that was pretty devastating to me. But we always had good Christmases. And if Christmas was on Sunday, we couldn't open anything until we went to church and came back. Also, when we were growing up, I remember when I guess Daddy was about in his 30s, late 30s, he used to would play cards and he used to go to the dances. And one evening, I think it was before Mother might have been pregnant with Joyce, and I was outside playing. We were playing hide and go seek, and I heard this commotion in the house, and all of a sudden, Daddy came through the window. A chair came through the window, and they thought I was saying, I'm in free, and I was hollering, ain't we, something's happening down at the house. And she came down and tried to calm Mother and Daddy down. After that incident, he kind of calmed down and got more involved in the church, and then he wouldn't allow us to play no cards or go to any movies or anything like that.
So what had happened? You didn't say what had happened.
Well, Mother had pushed Daddy through the window in a chair. And she said she was tired of him going out all the time and leaving her barefoot and pregnant, so to speak. And it really scared him because I think she had a knife. And so that was a traumatic time also. I remember when I was growing up, I used to go to Kimberly with Grandma Dixon, and I spent nights with a lady called Miss K. Pie, and then we would come back and I would spend the summers with Grandma. We would sit out on the porch, and she loved the soft peppermint candy, and at that time it was much softer than it is now. And sometimes we would get a pint of ice cream and sit on the back porch, and she would have a pint and I would have a pint. And Grandma we would walk down the steps. At that time, she was walking, walk down the steps. We would go to Walgreens and get different things, and we would catch the bus together, and then we would come back. And I remember one time she fixed some veal, Uncle Alfred liked veal, but they tried to encourage me to eat it, and I wouldn't eat it. So then she would fix me something different. And another time I remember, about the last time that I stayed with her, I had decided I was going to go to see James Brown. And she said, "Does Harry know you're going to see James Brown?" And I said, "Well, I'm going with Thelma." So she called Daddy, and Daddy said, "If you want to go, I'll take you." And so after that, I never spent another night with Grandma. She always said it was because of that, but it wasn't. It was because I think I went to Columbus to stay with Aunt Cecile for that summer. And from then on, when I would come back, I didn't spend any more nights with her, but we did visit often.